let's talk about a Spanish queen from the 16th century. She inherited one of the most powerful thrones in the entire world. But that's not what she's remembered for. Nope. History remembers her by this one really notorious nickname.
They called her Juana la Loca. That's Joanna the Mad. And for centuries, that's pretty much been the whole story. But you have to ask, right? Was she really insane? Or was that label just a super convenient excuse for something, well, something much more calculated? That's the big question we're going to dig into today.
Okay, so to really get what happened here, we've got to start with the official story. The legend that's basically defined her for hundreds of years.
And look, this wasn't just some random noblewoman. We're talking about Juana of Castile. Her parents? Oh, just the legendary Catholic monarchs, Isabella and Ferdinand. After her older siblings passed away, she was the one, the undisputed heir, crowned Queen of Spain in her own right. So let's be clear, legally, all the power was hers. And this is where it gets really interesting. If Juana was the rightful queen, you've got to ask, who would benefit if she was suddenly, unfit to rule? Well, as it turns out, there was a whole line of powerful men just waiting in the wings. First up, you've got her husband, Philip the Handsome. Now, he was a super ambitious archduke, and when he married Juana, he saw his golden ticket, a direct path to the Spanish throne. He wasn't interested in just being the queen's husband. He wanted to be the one calling the shots.
But it wasn't just her husband. Get this. After his wife, Queen Isabella, died, Juana's own father, King Ferdinand, decided he didn't want to give up control. He had his eyes on her crown too, hoping he could just rule his region over her kingdoms. And to top it all off, even her own son, the future Holy Roman Emperor Charles V, stood to gain. I mean, think about it. If his mom was declared incompetent, he could get the throne years, maybe even decades, earlier than he was supposed to. So you've got the three most powerful men in her life, all wanting the one thing that was hers. So let's just pause for a second. Why would her husband, her father, and her son all be pushing the exact same story? That's not a coincidence, right? It's a massive, glaring conflict of interest. When you boil it all down, the power struggle was actually pretty simple. Their goal, seize her crown and rule Spain. Her stance? Absolutely not. She refused to surrender what was rightfully hers. It was a total political standoff. And this is the really crucial part. The accusations of insanity weren't just random whispers. They only got loud, they only became official when she started actively pushing back against their attempts to take her power. Her madness became the perfect political weapon they needed because she just wouldn't step aside. Okay, so we've seen their motives, but what about Juana herself? How did she react to all this? I mean, they were systematically trying to strip her of her power and even her identity. Well, for refusing to back down, for insisting on her right to rule, she was locked away. They put her in a palace prison in Tordesillas. And get this, she was held there for nearly 50 years. Just let that sink in for a moment. 5 whole decades of confinement.
But here's the incredible part. Even while she was imprisoned, she never, ever gave up. She kept insisting she was the rightful queen. And in this amazing twist of fate, she actually outlived all of them. She outlived her husband, she outlived her father, and she was still alive when her son finally took the throne. It's like her spirit was just unbreakable.
So all of this really brings us to a powerful new way of looking at Juana's legacy. It's not really about trying to diagnose a woman who lived 500 years ago. It's about understanding the story that was built around her. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Madness was the story men told when they couldn't silence her. What if her madness wasn't a medical condition at all? What if it was a political one? A story that was carefully crafted by men who needed a way to neutralize her because her defiance was just too much for them to handle. They couldn't shut her up, so they just discredited her instead. So the real takeaway here is this massive shift in perspective. Maybe Juana of Castile wasn't too broken to be queen at all. Maybe she was just too inconvenient for the ambitions of the men in her life. Her power was a threat to them, so they took it. And then they called her mad to make it seem like they had a right. And that leaves us with one last, kind of provocative thought. Juana's story is such a stark reminder that history is almost always written by the winners. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other powerful women in history got labeled as difficult or hysterical or just plain mad simply because they were inconvenient for the men who wanted their power?